Is this where the reception room is? Kim Hyun-woo raised his old glasses. The building was only a 5-minute walk from the South Seoul station. The front of the building, the sunlight reflected the words, Global Exos Korea, on a black marble. Knowing the sign represented a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, it intimidated him. He did not have the courage to go in, but he lacked nearly as much courage to turn back. He took a deep breath and walked into the building. I'm here for an interview. Go on up to the 3rd floor. The model-like receptionist motioned him towards the elevator. Ah, yes. Thank you. While nodding, he stepped back, bowed and walked away. As he heard a stifled laughter from behind him, he began to blush. He roughly understood why she was laughing. After abruptly receiving news of the interview, he was forced to come for an interview in an oversized borrowed suit. He became flustered realizing how foolish and ugly he looked wearing the oversized suit. Of course, there were plenty of different contacts, but it wouldn't come close in comparison. He had arrived on the 3rd floor, and the lounge was filled to capacity. People in fancy suits were out and about. Surprisingly, some of the people were wearing blue jeans and t-shirts. Their faces were filled with confidence, showing their work experience. His eyes became clouded as he thought about going for the interview with these people. No, he was not sure he could really go to the interview in his current state. Should I not have come? At this rate, will I be able to get an opportunity better than this? Hyun-woo let out a sigh with an uneasy look on his face. Hyun-woo was an ordinary youth. At least until 5 years ago. He was an average high school student who liked brand name items, bought the newest cell phone whilst his parents nagged at him, and played games the entire day on the weekends. Up until then, he would often watch the stories of the boys on the TV, and empathized with them on one hand, while thinking he could never live like the boy in the TV. That is, until it became reality. He received an urgent call at school. He was told his parents had been in a car accident. With one simple call, Hyun-woo's life was changed. His father had died, while his mother surviving after numerous operations, but complications still remained. The cause of the accident was his father's drowsiness while driving. The victims still had to be compensated. Nevertheless, their insurance had expired without renewal, so the insurance company claimed it wasn't their responsibility. The police and victim's attorney had dropped by a few times. While Hyun-woo had been trying to understand the situation and complicated conversations that had taken place, their house was sold, and they terminated various savings and insurance plans. To fix that problem, they rented a small apartment. However, his mother still needed to be treated urgently. Their private medical insurance was bought 10 years ago. Nevertheless, every time his mother went to the hospital because of a cold, stomach ache, or miscellaneous, she required more treatment than an average person. Together with intensive care she needed, the insurance company's attitude began to change. They gave him pamphlets written in English and Chinese, while prattling on about changing compensation limit. Because of this, they had to pay 3 to 4 million won in dues every month. It may be tough, but hang in there for your mother. Use this to pay for the hospital fees. 5 uncles from both of the mother's and father's side stuck an envelope inside an absent-minded Hyun-woo's pocket. But they did not show themselves again. He felt horrible. The money in his pockets only amounted to 3 million won. It was not enough to even cover a month's hospital bill. In order to cover living expenses and hospital bills, the debt steadily increased. Hyun-woo realized it for the first time. The little boy who earned a living was shown on TV, was not mature. He was facing a situation where he had no choice other than to grow up and be mature. The situation makes a person. He knew very well the meaning of those words. Hyun-woo's life had changed. Waking up at dawn to do newspaper and milk deliveries, then working at a part-time job from evening to dawn in order to gain money. In the past, it was inconceivable to wash one's body while working part-time at a construction site. His body ached all over, but he continued working rather than relaxing. It was not because he was exceptionally earnest. He had no other choice but to do it. However, his earnings could barely cover the cost of living and hospital expenses. With relatives coming for a visit, I won't be able to relax because of the noise. Every time they arrived, all he could do was clench his fist. He heard his father had a good personality. There was not a single friend's family gathering he missed, and he would withdraw from his savings without hesitation whenever a relative got in some big trouble. However, the reward he received from the heavens was almost as if it came out of a novel. After his father died, and as his mother accrued hospital bills, no one leaped in to help them. Worse, they did not even loan them some money. It was because they did not think they would be able to get the money back. Their relationship was weak because they were made when his family's situation was still good. Hyun-woo also became keenly aware of the cold, endless reality before he graduated from high school. No matter how special a person is, in the end they are just like any other person. I exist only to take care of my mother and myself. His mind was set on dropping out of high school, but his mother, on her sickbed, would not hear anything about the matter. He had no choice but to deal with it for one more year. However, after he graduated from high school, it did not improve the situation they were in. After he graduated high school, Hyun-woo set out to look for a job. Although his work had hours increased, other things remained the same. As usual, he worked all day, and his days became filled with anxiety trying to meet the hospital bills and the ever-growing debts payments at the end of every month. He gradually began to envy his peer who carried the latest mobile or wore the latest fashions. He had also envied those who could have money to spare. It was one thing Hyun-woo could not stop himself from envying. Hyun-woo since an early age had dreamt of being an employee at a video game production company. Before accident occurred, he had often stayed up all night playing games. If not, perhaps another career related to computers. Although he abandoned the idea of going to a university, he did not abandon his dream. It was the reason why every month he would pay 300,000 won to attend a private institution. One day an instructor came up to Hyun-woo and asked, "Hyun-woo, have you thought of seeking employment at a gaming company?" "A gaming companies?" A coworker told me he knows a video game company who are currently recruiting new employees. I was asked to recommend some excellent students, and I was thinking about recommending you. How about it? Would you like to be employed by a gaming company? Would a non-university graduate be acceptable? 20 years of age or older is preferable. There's no gender and educational requirement. Where is it? Have you heard of Global Exos? Yes. Hyun-woo froze in place. It's expected for education to not be regarded for a small gaming company. However, not from a company as big as Global Exos. The company was the zenith of all companies in the gaming industry. They were the first to implement the concept of virtual reality into game, and they've also released 2 epic games in which accumulated annual sales of 1 trillion won. What would Global Exos be lacking in order for them to employ people such as myself? I don't know the details either. According to my senior, employee recruitment process is done in various ways. It is very unique. Screening of documents for educational background or work experience is not a priority. And the things we're being tested is entirely different, and so the way they pay their employees. However, with many applicants, it will not be easy. Since I don't know what interpersonal work is, I'll try to put the files in. A world where one's educational background was not prioritized. These were the words once said a long time ago. However, Hyun-woo was not naive enough to instantly believe those words. Without educational background, it limits the employee a chance for a position in such a large business, and is normally limited to things such as an external position. Even more so with Global Exos, and if he wasn't accepted, he would feel really bad about it. Applying with my high school diploma won't get me accepted. So, I'd rather. Name, Kim Hyun-woo. Gender, male. Age, 22. Educations, S. Electronic Engineering. Second year, dropout. Top seat of the class, without having missed any class. Although unknown to the media network, hacked through their firewall during their conference for testing a mock game system, and became a large issue, which eventually led to voluntary withdrawal. Global Exos was such a large company. Surely, they would not examine the authenticity of each application. When he thought about it, it was impossible for them to do so. Perhaps, but trying wouldn't hurt. Besides, he's got nothing to lose. All this time he had forgotten about the application when unexpected news came. The other day when I told you about Global Exos. Your application has passed the screening, and they've contacted us. Hyun-woo's instructor was just as surprised as he was. While he was daydreaming, the interviewer had already arrived here. In any case, he was given a chance to meet the interviewer. Perhaps this could be a golden opportunity. Which why he thought he had to make most of it, even if he had to resort to clinging to the interviewer's pant legs. Have I gone crazy? Whose idea was it to come to this place? Having applied with a fabricated diploma was the least of my problems. At this rate, who knows what kind of random things will appear on the news. No, surely Global Exos, being a large enterprise, will be liable for having caused an incident of forged documents with one of their applicants, will cause quite a stir and won't be profitable to them. Oh, but wouldn't turning back right now be equally insane crazy? He casually imagined the scene of himself being handcuffed and bombarded with questions from reporters. "Oh, will you be staying here?" Suddenly, he heard a woman's voice beside him. Since he was already surprised, he lifted his head and saw the receptionist whom he met in the hallway standing there in a formal suit. "This seat is empty. Would you like to sit here?" She nodded and sat down next to him. "I'm sorry for laughing earlier. Did I offend you?" "It's all right. It must have been hard not to laugh. I look really funny, don't I?" "Yes." After seeing the strange glance the receptionist gave as a response to his question, he made a puzzled face. "Ah, it looks like there's a misunderstanding. I wasn't laughing because of your clothes. There really isn't anybody who bows who would deeply to a receptionist. I was laughing because I thought you were a slightly eccentric person. Also, your clothes suit you quite nicely." Hyun-woo's face became red. Could this mean he had an inferiority complex? "I'm sorry for misunderstanding." "No, I'm sorry for causing the misunderstanding. By the way, why are you here?" "To be honest, I've also submitted an application. My name is Kang Misu." "Oh, my name is Kim Hyun-woo." Kang Misu extended her hand. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo wiped his hands on his pants and was about to shake her hand. "All the candidates please head over to the auditorium." "Damn. Whatever. I'll probably die or faint anyway." "Wait, I wouldn't die from this, would I?" Unable to break away from crowd, Hyun-woo was swept away into the auditorium. Approximately 2,000 people were packed tightly inside the auditorium. Since only about 10 people would be chosen, the ratio of being chosen was 1 to 200. Everyone's attention was on the stage where a man in his late 20s stood. "Nice to meet you, everyone. I am the planning director, Ha Myung-woo. On behalf of Global Exos, I would like to thank all of you for gathering here today." His speech was followed by loud applause. Ha Myung-woo nodded gently and said, "Then let's go straight to point of what everybody has been wondering about. Those of you here who are aware of Global Exo's announcement last month regarding a new virtual reality game called New World, could please raise your hand." Most of the people raised their hands. However, Hyun-woo didn't raise his. Virtual reality games were not available for regular computers. If one wanted to play it, they had to buy a commercial network unit, which cost a considerable amount of money. Although there were also virtual reality gaming centers. Because the cost of a unit is expensive, they charged a high service fee. Ha Myung-woo nodded his head. "I see most of you have heard of it. However, because limited information was released, we will explain it briefly. Global Exos created the world's first ever virtual reality game which changed the gaming industry. Soon after, one after another, gaming companies have started to make virtual reality games, and eventually led to the popularity of virtual reality. But the game we announced to be released is original and a whole new innovation." Some people who had experience with those games nodded their heads. During the following discussion, Hyun-woo's mouth was wide open in awe. Up until now, virtual reality games have amounted to a visual image has been implanted directly into the retinas in order to perceive the virtual world. The game New World was going to be different than any other games. Information received from the retina will be directly delivered to the brain, which allows the game to be perceived as a real-world experience. Thanks to that, it's no longer just seeing, but experiencing another world with all 5 senses. For the last 3 years, Hyun-woo lived without playing games, and the advancement in technology was amazement to him. It's true the expense will reach 4 times as much as an existing unit. However, New World is not a simple game. We are heading towards a new age. I am confident we will be able to create a new culture and will last 10 to 20 years into the future. The recruitment tests this time was to pick a capable people who will be managing New World, as well as making history. What are the requirements to pass the screening? Right then, someone asked. Everyone is probably wondering about the passing requirements. Among those of you who are present, you might identify yourself as inexperienced or uneducated, but as of this moment, I want everyone to forget about those labels. We have decided not to take those matters into account. New World is a project that will last for dozens of years, and we are recruiting people based on their talented to be able to manage a long-term project. In simpler terms, we will be judging based on your passion for this game as well as the possibility of future growth. Physicists, chemists, astronomers, medical experts, and even experts in nanoscience. Dozens of experts will spend years studying the virtual reality game, the New World. However, Global Exos was not looking for an employee with knowledge in those subjects, but rather, an employee who knew how to start a fire. Global Exos was looking for one who could manipulate the fire, was what Ha Myung-woo explained. How will you determine those who are qualified? The method we'll be using is quite simple. Ha Myung-woo parted his lips slightly and replied. Tomorrow afternoon, everyone will receive access to their own gaming unit with New World installed on it. With this unit, you are to create a new account for New World. Inside the game, if you accomplish a particular condition, an event will occur and you can think of as a formal certificate of employment. Furthermore, while the test is in progress, Global Exos will be paying you a minimum of 1.5 million won every month. This is the company's policy, is to ensure everyone will be able to completely concentrate on the game and play with similar conditions. It was an unprecedented way obtaining employment caused a disturbance in the auditorium. As the unrest settled down and questions started to be asked. What conditions must be achieved? Are you talking about a quest? Or is it about obtaining some rare items? I've predicted you would have a lot of questions. However, I can't tell you specific information. What I can tell you is there are many ways you can achieve your goal, and also, there is no set path towards the goal. Are you saying the goal of this test is to obtain something inside the game? You are correct. However, we will not give you any clues. Isn't that the most fun part of a game? Ha Myung-woo said in joyful voice. However, there was no one who shared his happiness. You have freedom to do what you wish inside the game. Although you are given your freedom, it is your responsibility to follow the rules. It is also up to you to choose your own goals. Depending on your situation, you will be judged as we see fit. How long will the testing period be? How many people will you be recruiting? We will be recruiting only 10 people. The testing period will end when we have chosen 10 people. Ha Myung-woo added with a smile. Perhaps this might be the longest testing period of employee recruitment in history. However, the game New World is worth investing your time and effort in. Without a doubt. I hope this would motivate people to combine their strength and work together. Fighting Kong Misa said with a beautiful smile as she came out to talk to the people in the auditorium. There was definitely nothing he looked forward to more than working with this beauty in an office of the large conglomerate. Hyun-woo stood idly at the convenience store counter eyeing a Global Exos brochure. He knew it was one of the world's largest corporations, but he did not expect it to be at this level. On the pamphlet were the written details of the employees who passed the special test. It was rumored New World's exclusive planning department receives an assigned annual salary of approximately 100 million won. Considering the starting salary of a large enterprise was 40 million, this was exceptional. In addition, there was a full-page article of the company's guaranteed benefits. It seems like only 2,000 people were qualified. If they give everyone 1.5 million won, that's 30 billion a month. Even if the test runs for only 3 to 4 months, they will be spending over 100 billion. Since they're spending so much money on just the recruitment exam. Literally a dream job. It was a job that could resolve all of Hyun-woo's problems in one go. More than anything, Hyun-woo was captivated by the unique recruitment test. They didn't want a close to perfect score on the TOEIC evaluation, nor did they want someone with an amazing work experience. If they were looking for those kinds of things, he would not have applied for the job. However, they proposed a method of achieving something inside the game as a test to get employed. Therefore, the only condition was to be good at games. Did they really not investigate my education? If the falsification of his educational background were to come out of the light, it might become a big issue. No, it might not even get detected. As he thought about it, his hope swelled up. This way, there might be some hope for me. Since his younger years, Hyun-woo had always loved to play games. Although he spent a lot of time playing amazing games, they weren't memorable. Furthermore, once he had completed the game, all items obtained could be sold for money. Even so, he didn't think getting employed would be easy. Ratio of 200 to 1. The other candidates would also rush forward with their lives on the line. However, since they are all starting with same conditions, he was confident he wouldn't become left behind. It's a once-in-a-lifetime chance. I can't miss this. That same day, Hyun-woo quit his part-time job at the convenience store and stopped his milk and newspaper deliveries. However, because of the cost of living and hospital bills, he cannot overindulge himself by quitting 2 of his other part-time jobs. With the 1.5 million won Global Exos promised as a salary, he still could not even afford the hospital bills. He did not blindly believe his debt was resolved by itself. He understood tomorrow his debt would still increase. Therefore, he needed a little more to save up. Since I have less time than the others, I have to do this as if it was life and death situation. As soon as he finished work, he immediately headed for home. I should try looking for information about the game. However, Hyun-woo started to shake his head. It's just information. Experiencing it firsthand will allow me to understand the game faster. Hyun-woo immediately went to the unit. After he turned on the power, he heard a low whirring sound and suddenly, everything went dark. Suddenly, a piercing light, along with a new world, unfolded before him. New world begins. Starting initial operations. Scanning for necessary personal data. Unregistered user detected. Please register a new account. Someone spoke from within a space enclosed in light. Following the guide, as soon as he gave his personal information, a red light scanned his body. Soon after, a character dressed in leather bearing a similar appearance to Hyun-woo appeared in front of him. The state of the appearance shown is scanned from the user. If you wish, you may change your appearance, sex, or race. However, be warned, each account is limited to one character. Once the character has been created, you may not alter or delete your character. Please think carefully before deciding. A limit of one character per account. This was not a rare restriction for a virtual reality game. Being able to change character appearance in game lessens the sense of physical immersion. Having always worn glasses, he thought his face looked a little strange. Hyun-woo contemplated and then adjusted his face structure a little. He chose the human race. This was typically a very average choice in most games. Since he had not selected a profession and did not choose any skills, he would become a human aptitude for all professions. Please select your character's name. Arkansas. It was the name that came to him when he received his unit. He was using it in a biblical sense. Not because the cocoon round-like appearance reminded him of the ark, but rather the fact Hyun-woo's future depended on this unit. Even if it was tedious, there was no helping it. Users of the human race may choose from 4 starting locations. Harun, the frontier town of Shudenberg Kingdom, Bristania Kingdom's changing lot, Kulton Castle in the Principality of Sinos. Northwest matter which place you select, all the choices were similar. The townspeople are kind to strangers. Shudenberg Kingdom's frontier town, Harun. Shudenberg Kingdom was the closest to the middle of the continent. If you would like a more detailed explanation about the new world, skip. All game has similar introduction such as this. In the beginning stages, actual knowledge about the game doesn't help much. Above all, experience was the best type of knowledge. After canceling the tutorial, Hyun-woo was enveloped in a bright light. At the same time, his character's eyes moved and he was absorbed within it. The novice adventurer, Ark, was born. What the heck? Ark had a bewildered look on his face. He was surrounded by mountains and mountain villages. In the village there were around 100 houses surrounded by high barriers. This must be the beginning town Harun. However, Ark still could not believe his eyes. Is this really part of a game? He could not believe it. The surrounding mountains. The fences and buildings, even the people who were wandering around. This was completely different from computer graphics. It wasn't something you can see visually. He could feel his leather shoes, the wind whooshing by his ears, and even smell food being prepared somewhere from a distance. It felt like reality, but wasn't reality, which made the situation all the more difficult to believe. I know this is a virtual reality, but I can't believe it's a game. The virtual reality gaming experience used to be solely based on retina graphics. This was as of 3 years ago. To this day, most virtual reality games had still not escaped the dimension of having retina graphic-based game. Now I understand why director Ha Myung-woo spoke with prideful words. Just 1 month ago, Global Exos had announced New World, which resulted in it becoming the hot topic of gossip in many other games. Now he understood why this was happening. If his situation had been more favorable, he would have stopped at nothing to play this game. The technology developed by Global Exos was incredible. Now is not the time to be doing this. Ark, who had his mouth wide open, wiped his drool. Several people around him looked at him with dull look on their faces. They were going through the same process of adaptation as Arkansas. Blushing from embarrassment, Ark moved to a more adequate place. Where should I head off now? Ark saw the way other people moved their bodies and copied them. Although he was actually connected to the unit lying down, he felt like he was actually moving. Although moving little parts of his body was rough, its process was similar to moving in real life. Okay, movements don't seem to require any special procedures. Ark then investigated the system window. Menu. A translucent circle appeared in front of him, listed various items. Character info, bags, community, etc. You could either talk directly to the menu or tap the icon. Ark pressed the icon, which looked like a face. Character name: Ark. Race: human. Affiliation: none. Profession: none. Level 1. Fame: 0. Title: none. Health: 100. Mana: 100. Strength: 15. Agility: 15. Stamina: 15. Intelligence: 15. Wisdom: 15. Luck: 15. The pair of character information windows that appeared were not simplistic in design. Afterwards he confirmed his skill window was completely empty. The contents of his bag were 10 units of water, 10 pieces of wheat bread, and a dagger. He was excited, and felt as if a new life was just beginning. Well, what should I do now? Ark closed the information window and looked around. Everything was so much like reality it was hard to distinguish NPCs from normal users, but both users and NPCs showed no interest in Ark since he began. Everyone was running around like crazy. In most games, there would be a kind NPC who would teach you when you first start out. Looking around for a bit, he spotted an old man who kept his eyes on him from a distance. Ark walked over to him. Excuse me. You must be new here. Without having to say anything, the old man spoke as if he understood the entire situation. What is your name? My name is Arkansas. My name is Hansen. I'm just an old guy whose purpose in life is to teach young guys, such as yourself, how to live in this place. As expected, you probably want to ask about what to do in this place. Yes. Most people who are like you commonly work one of two jobs here. One is wild dog and wolf hunting outside of this village, and another one finding work in the village. If you're just playing casually, it's better to choose the latter option. Since this is a backwater village, we're always short-handed. Yes, I like to be provided a job. Ark replied without hesitation. However, the greatest danger in a game is not learning how to hunt carefully and embarking without reason or under bad influence. Therefore, doing a simple quest would be a good idea to adapt to the game. Early beginnings of a game consisted of mostly of doing quests to adapt to the flow of the game and earn equipment. Hence, was more profitable than aimlessly hunting. I'm thankful you took time to listen to me. As it so happens, there's a job I'd like to entrust to you. Recently I've heard the tavern owner was complaining about the number of mice in his cellar. I think you would be able to solve the problem. How about it? Will you help? Doo-doo-dung. An information window came up along with a strange sound. Creighton, who owns the tavern in the gloomy backwater village of Haroon, has gotten headaches over the growing mouse problem in recent years. Meet Creighton, listen to his problem, and then deal with it. It's a job that should be easy even for a beginner. Difficulty, not applicable. Ark accepted the quest and headed towards the tavern. Finding the tavern was quite easy. It was the only building overflowing with customers, in the town square. As he entered the tavern, a messy-haired boy wearing an apron could be heard yelling. You came with a recommendation from the old man Hansen. With a relieved look on his face, Ark began to speak to Creighton. Nice to meet you. Can you do me a little favor and kill the mice inside the warehouse down the street? Lately, I think if I hear them one more time, I'll lose my mind. Yes. I will do it. But what will the compensation be? Ark indirectly asked. Whether in it is reality or inside a game, no one believed in working free of charge. Work should be compensated. It's only natural, right? Creighton started beating on his chest and replied. Of course, I, Creighton, am not of the cheap nature to swindle a stranger who has no home or belongings after he has eaten his fill. I have prepared a reward essential for someone like you. I look forward to it. Ark entered the warehouse with a daring smile. The warehouse had been congested with many swarms of mice. Both sides officially recognized the other as an easy target as they faced one another. My first test subjects will be you guys. Now, shall we begin? Ark drew his dagger, charged and swung his dagger, and attacked one of the mice. However, he got a result he did not expect. Embarrassingly, the mouse lightly sidestepped the moving dagger. Also, as if mocking his sloppy display of skill, they ran between the boxes, knocking them over. Similar occurrence kept repeating. Ark was growing angry at the loitering mice who light dodged as often as he swung his dagger at them. There's no way this should be happening. How could he be unable to even kill one mouse? Ark grew puzzled. In all of the games he's played until now, mice were mobs who died out even if they saw a sword. However, these mice were different. As if they were actual copies, the mice moved as they would in reality. Their speed was no joke. While he was flustered, a bright light suddenly flashed in his eyes. You have been attacked by a mouse. You have received 1 damage. Far from killing them, he was hurt instead. Just because it was only one damage, it did not mean he could ignore it. The mice, seeing Ark getting flustered, seemed to judge him as an easy opponent. In an instant, enough had gathered to block the view of the ground and started biting him. In the blink of an eye, his health had dropped down to 20. Ark, who became frightened, quickly backed away. These little. If I'm not careful, I might die from being attacked by mice. Nobody, in the entire world, gets bitten by mice and then dies from it. Ark calmed his emotions. He could not afford to get hit anymore. Ark carefully marked the assaulting mouse, and struck the moment they ran forward to bite him. The mouse screeched with pain and split into 2 halves. You have killed a mouse. You have earned 1 EXP. At last, he heard the welcoming sound accompanied a message window popped up. When Ark started to properly counterattack, the mice were eliminated at lightning speed. Meanwhile, Ark killed several more mice. He also drove them back to their holes one by one as he swung his dagger. The mice did not take it lying down. Several of them began to cooperate with one another, and started to leap at him after hiding in boxes and counterattacked. The fierce fighting between the human and the mice lasted 30 minutes. At the end of the battle, he only had 3 loaves of wheat bread left. In order to recover his lowered health, he had consumed 7 loaves. The durability of his 2 attack point dagger and his 2 defense point leather armor also dropped significantly. It was an empty victory. Phew, whatever happened, I killed them all. While it was difficult, my experience should have risen substantially, right? Ark opened up his character window in order to inspect the good results and promptly had an unhappy expression. 1 mouse gave 1 EXP. However, even though he killed over 30, he only received 30 EXP. He thought because he was just starting out, it was not a small amount. However, after looking at his experience bar, it had not even risen 1%. No matter the extreme difficulty in fighting them, mice were mice. His disappointment was unrivaled. However, Ark reigned in his emotions. Because no matter what, a quest was still a quest, there would still be some reward later. All the mice have been wiped out. Oh, yes. Very good. I have a little something for you. Creighton laughed broadly as he took out 10 wheat bread. Ark, who had been eagerly looking forward to his reward, stared at Creighton in horror. There could be no way he would spend more than 30 minutes in a life or death struggle. All he would receive was some wheat bread. However, Creighton, if anything, looked blankly at Ark as if there was something wrong with him. No way, is there some kind of mistake? What do you mean? Isn't it most important you are still alive? But you expect to receive better rewards for killing some mice. Ark had exertion, so he kept his mouth shut, suffering in silence. He spent 30 minutes and cleaned up 7 loaves of wheat bread to hunt the mice. His dagger and his leather armor were in disrepair. And the reward was a mere 10 loaves of wheat bread. Was it a joke? But what use was there in arguing with an NPC for an opponent? Furthermore, wheat bread was cheap but inconvenient. However, Ark accepted and took the 10 pieces of bread and left the tavern. He returned to Hansen with a dissatisfied expression and asked him, "Aren't there any more decent jobs?" Hee, this guy. You're being too greedy from the very start. You're a newcomer to this place. Who would entrust an important task to a newcomer? If you want a job with large rewards, you need to build more trust. It appears the game is affected by the level of intimacy. Many games before virtual reality games emphasized on relationship between NPCs. It was a feature of the game that one's intimacy with an NPC determined which quests, information, and skills you would be exposed to. This kind of system played the role of an imaginary space where one could experience significance of reality. Therefore, there was no way a high-tech company like New World would not implement a system such as this. In other words, newbies had to grind the low-reward quests in order to get better rewards. Ark was about to ask another question after understanding the basic concept. Someone struck up a conversation from behind him. "Are you a newbie?" He turned around and saw a cute girl coming closer. "Yes, that's right. Are you trying to get a quest from the Elder by any chance?" Ark nodded his head as a smirk rose on her face. However, as soon as Ark made an unpleasant expression, she quickly smiled. "Oh, sorry. However, trying to get a quest from the Elder isn't exactly the best idea." "Why?" "The quests this Elder provides are all low reward and low experience. Although I did a few of his quests just in case, he kept giving me similar quests. There are people who have also tried over 50 times. However, the only things they've received in increase were the repair costs. Then what should I be doing in the beginning?" The best thing to do is to hunt wild dogs in the outskirts of the village. While the normal thing is hunt rabbits or raccoons at level 1, the EXP you receive is only a little bit higher than mice. The reason why there is hardly anyone in the village is because everyone is out hunting wild dogs. Wild dogs. Ark bore an anxious expression as he repeated the question. Just killing a few mice was an arduous task. Would not hunting wild dogs be more difficult? However, the girl opened her mouth as if she had read his mind. It's hard to kill them alone. That's why everyone forms a party to hunt them. As it so happens, a person whom I was hunting with and I were having a bit of trouble, so would you like to hunt with us? Yeah. Are you sure it's alright? I'm only at level 1. It's okay. I also started today, so I've only reached level 2. And the other person is level 3. Yes, then please let me join. Please follow me. The other member is outside. Her party mate was a large man who was eating wheat bread at the village gates. It was a rare sight for someone in the starting village to be equipped with a long sword. As she introduced herself, Ark quickly examined her from top to bottom and nodded his head. Well, at least a level 3 would be better than a level 1 and 2. The man was Andal, and the woman was called Bulma. Both Andal and Bulma were also beginning New World but were more well-informed than Arkansas. Although he started around the same time as Ark, he was able to level up by forming a party and hunting wild dogs. Well then, we have no time to be playing around. As they walked a bit, they came across a field where wild dogs were meandering in. Bulma said in a nervous tone. You can't stop being vigilant every day just because it's close to the village. They're stronger than they appear, so you have to kill them by luring them one at a time. As Andal silently drew closer to a wild dog, he hit it and escaped behind it. He was far enough so other wild dogs would not jump in, and swung his long sword. The wild dog howled in pain as it took the piercing attack. Meanwhile, Ark and Bulma sprang at it. However, the battle was not as simple as they thought. Their fear clouded their judgment. While one may say what kind of fear is there in a game, the wild dog, which was exquisitely detailed down to each individual hair, appeared no different from reality. In reality, he had never even fought a cat before. He had not even imagined fighting a wild dog, let alone actually fights one. Seeing those wild dogs bare their teeth at him chilled him down to his bones. Their movements were also alarming. They were so fast Ark, who was wielding a dagger, could not hit them even once. Geez, Arkansas. What are you doing? UHMD this. Ark suffered a bite to his thigh as a result of the wild dog's attack. Immediately, he lost 30 HP. As he became frightened and started retreating, Andal and Bulma struck the wild dog from behind, barely managing to kill it. When the wild dog fell, it dropped leather and meat. Andal naturally picked up everything then looked disapprovingly at Arkansas. Is this your first time playing a virtual reality game? Not really. It was his first time playing the real thing. Andal glared at Bulma with eyes full of reproach. Why did you bring back a guy like this? Bulma looked at Ark with a resentful expression. Ark's face became flushed as he suddenly became marked as a dead man. It was not always good to have a game be able to express every single expression. They had killed more wild dogs, but the results always turned out the same. Ark, I can't attack if you suddenly come to my side. Oh, are you really going to stab me? You want me to retreat back there? How am I supposed to attack? Ah, but you're terrible. Andal had an annoyed expression as he complained. Ark got flustered and was chased by the wild dogs, and as a result, Andal and Bulma killed everything. Since he wasn't even able to properly stab anything with his dagger, he did not receive any experience. Even the leather and meat that dropped were monopolized by Andal, of course. While Bulma did not say anything, Ark, who was only causing trouble, could not even complain. No, it was not an issue of complaining. Please take a moment to look at what we're doing from behind us. Damn, won't I get kicked at this rate? Ark grew restless at Andal's brusque tone. There are only 4 loaves left. His equipment was frayed as if it would fall apart at any moment. No party would pick up a player who got kicked out with Ark's appearance. His days of desperately fighting mice for 10 loaves of wheat bread and 1 EXP would continue. Furthermore, connections were important in games. If any person played a game, then they understand how important it is to have even one more person on their side. Fine. This time, I want to get a hit in and die with no regrets. Ark had a firm resolve. Suddenly, another wild dog lured by Andal had arrived. Ark did not listen to Andal's advice at all, and, after taking the vanguard, swung at a wild dog with his dagger. As he fought it as if his life depended on it, the dog flattered and shrank back. For the first time, Ark was able to hit the wild dog with his dagger. At the same time, the wild dog's attack struck Arkansas. You have received a fatal blow from a wild dog. You have taken 50 damage. Ark felt a dizzy sensation and staggered around before collapsing on his back. Not that way. Bulma shouted, not because she was worried about Ark but because she was surprised. The wild dogs took a step forward towards where Ark had collapsed and began to gather. Bulma and Andal's faces were white with terror. Even with their level, the wild dogs were an overwhelming opponent. Even more so when there was 5 of them. Damn, it's all over. That's why you should stay at the back. Ark overflowing with dissatisfaction. Damn, how about I quit the party? Ark clenched his fists tightly until they bit into his hands and got up. I'll block them while you run away. Yes. Ha, but then. Bulma was baffled as Andal pulled on her with a jerk. Without looking back, Ark drew out his dagger and swung it in random directions. 2 of the wild dog who gathered around Ark chased him. Simultaneously, he saw flashing red lights coming from all directions. When he heard 3 or 4 system messages saying he has received some damages, the vision from both his eyes started to turn dark. Not long after, Ark collapsed and the wild dogs retreated to their original position. His very first death. As he opened his eyes, he saw some supplies near the castle gate. You have suffered critical injuries. Fortunately, you were saved quickly and received treatment at the quartermaster's station. Life will recover. However, due to the risky operation, a penalty will be imposed. Please confirm the details in the character information window. Are you all right? The system messages overlapped with Bulma's voice. Ark was embarrassed and started scratching his head. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you almost die because of me? No, it was thanks to you I'm alive. But Ark. It's no problem. After all, I didn't even have 1% experience. Ark had never thought of his death was of any importance. It was common sense in the case of death in a game, experience would be reduced. In some cases, lose their items. This was the reason why people struggled to not be killed. However, Ark was different. He did not care to lose experience since he had just started. Neither did he drop any of his items. The only players who did not fear death were level 1 players. Therefore, Ark tilted his head since he was unable to understand Bulma's reaction. Yes. What experience? I'm just saying. Andal, as if became aware of something, suddenly blocked Bulma's path. Ah yes, I hadn't thought Mr. Ark had just recently started the game. Andal's eyes sparkled as he proposed an idea. Then how about we do this? Let's hunt something a little stronger than wild dogs, something like wolves. If it's wolves, I'm sure we'll be able to take them down. I've heard there were some cases where a party was killing a wolf and various other wolves would come and gather around them, making it almost impossible to hunt. But if Mr. Ark were to tank them for us and die in our place, wolves are worth challenging. Although Mr. Ark will not receive any experience, we'll divide any items dropped from killing wolves. The beginner's items they drop can be sold for a considerable amount of money. But Mr. Andal. Bulma looked at Andal with a surprised expression. Her eyes told him he asked for too much. Nevertheless, Ark nodded his head without a second thought. If you're sure, why not? He thought Andal's proposition wasn't a bad one. Even if he refused and left the party, there was nothing else he could do. It would be more useful if he was able to face a superior wolf and adapt. He currently did not stand a chance, death was inevitable. For a good reason, he also wouldn't be distributed any items nor receive any loot unless wolves appeared. It's beneficial to have Mr. Arkansas. Andal lead the party to the fields in high spirits. Andal's attitude towards Ark did a complete 180. In order to repair his equipment, he would have to pay 30 copper. And whenever situations get dangerous, he was grateful for reducing the chances of death. After the party finished their item repairs, they walked past the pack of wild dogs towards the place where wolves gather. Wolves, undoubtedly, are several times stronger than stray dogs. It was an opponent you can barely win against yourself. Awo. As several wolves were caught and on death's door, they howled towards the sky. There is a reason for this. The distant wolves would surge into the support of their comrades. On all occasions it was the level 1, Ark, who bravely intercepted them. These bastards. All of you come at me. Naturally they would frantically claw and bite as they lay down on the floor. But Ark refused to bat an eye. Slaughtering as I please. After all, I am a pitiful creature with nothing to lose. Ark arose up like a zombie once more from the quartermaster's station and set out to hunt wolves once more. After he died about 10 times, an information window popped up along with the sound effects and shining lights. You have learned a new skill. Undying Will, beginner, passive. You have undergone countless lives and deaths, your mind is uncrushable and abundant with courage. While under critical conditions, piercing the enemy's weak point will break their concentration and allows you to heal faster than others. During times of crisis, plus 30% critical rate. Plus 5% recovery rate. Aha, is this a gift from the heavens? Would this lead to destitute? Though he had died several times, he never imagined of receiving a new skill. The quicker Ark separated the pack of wolves, the faster they died. The people who watched Ark hunted started making comments. That person never seems to get tired. It's a brave warrior. A soldier. A level 1 veteran. Is he out of his mind? Maybe doesn't know how to play this game. Sarcasm could be heard one time or another, and sometimes a voice of concern. Those people do not know anything. However, Ark did not mind their words. Ark opened his bag and took a peek. Inside were filled with wolf leather and meat. Seeing this reassured his mind. At level 1, he was adapting to wild dogs and wolves while obtaining item drops from them. What problems can there be? Despite Andal and Bulma's higher level, Ark was not at a disadvantage. In others' perspective, Ark might certainly seem he was recklessly hunting, however, Ark was also gaining a lot of information. Andal and Bulma had never experienced playing a virtual reality game like this. The two current level 3 players originally thought wolves were overwhelming opponents. However, the two players were expertly dealing critical blows. Following Ark's lead, they did not hesitate to swing their weapons and attack. Thanks to the level 1 player, they were able to hunt wolves continuously for about 2 hours. What's going on? Ark had experienced something strange. Somehow, he started moving slower and slower over time, and felt out of breath. Although he wields his dagger, he lacked strength. It was as if he had several lead weights on his arms and legs. Bulma, who noticed Ark's movement slowing down over time had a sorry expression on her face. However, Andal, who was still at a distance, said, "Perhaps he is unable to continue since he is not familiar with virtual reality games. We should call it a day. Hunting grounds are dangerous when a party member is unable to move." "Yes, I guessed so. It was all thanks to you, hunting was easier. I will see you later. Can I register you as a friend? We'll call you next time." In the end, Andal had left before he could say anything else. Bulma hesitantly approached him, took out a sword from her bag, and held it out to him. "Take this. It's not a bad weapon to use, especially at the start of the game." "Ah. Thank you." Ark received the weapon and checked the information window. Rusty iron sword weapon type one-handed sword, attack damage 5 to 8, durability 30/30, weight 15, restriction none, strength 15, agility 15. This weapon has low durability and the rust made its weak damage. Relying on this sword to fight in a battlefield will lead to death. Ark was currently using a dagger with a damage of 1 to 3. Although it was an unnamed, lousy beyond compare, level 1 dagger, Ark was thankful for it. In addition, his bag was full to bursting with wolf leather and meat. On top of that, he had become more proficient with his skills. While his level stayed the same, his progress for the first day was pretty good. However, Bulma had a rather sorry expression on her face. "I'm sorry. Even though you suffered so much, I don't have anything I can give you, except this. No, I'm truly grateful." There was definitely nothing wrong with looking good in front of other users. If anything, it was good to slightly flatter users who were at a higher level than you. There was no other way to get an item at such a bargain otherwise. With those joyful feelings in his heart, Ark finished the first day of gaming.